Good morning, everybody, and welcome to this episode of Investing Across Borders. I am your host, Lauren Cohen, international legal and real estate expert. And I am here today with my good friend from across the pond, Sammy Blindell. Not only is Sammy across the pond, but she actually lives on a super cool houseboat in the water across the pond. And of course, across the pond means the UK. So Sammy and I met about, I don't know, 3 years ago when she was speaking on a stage of one of our mutual dear friends and my amazing mentor, Nancy Matthews and Trish Carr and Susan Wenner from Women's Prosperity Network, who will be on our show soon. Sammy is a multi-award winning international speaker, 7-time best-selling author, and the Brand Builders Club CEO and the founder of the OneDrop movement, which is this amazing philanthropic movement. And you can see on her neck, she's wearing a OneDrop pendant. So she'll tell you a little bit more about that. Sammy spent 13 years in branding before launching her first business in 2002. And she built 5 more companies in this sector. And her business skills and her branding skills took her to build this international network called the Brand Builders Network, where women and men, mainly women, but a lot of men too, we welcome men, help each other with branding, with masterminding, with building their businesses and sharing and collaborating. And we have so many mutual friends in these networks, and it's just amazing. Sammy's really made an impact on the world and continues to do so. Sammy, please say hello and introduce yourself for a moment to our guests.
Oh my goodness, it's so fun to be here. Hi, Lauren, and hi for those of you that are listening and watching. It's so awesome to be here with you today because we are literally the proof of crossing borders right now.
Yes, ma'am, that is for sure. And you've been before this global pandemic, you were crossing borders literally almost daily, right?
Gosh, I was always on a plane, a train, or in a cab going somewhere.
Yeah.
We worked out that in 2019, I was home for about 6 weeks, the whole of that year. And that was broken down into flying back, putting all the washing in the washing machine, going out for dinner with the family, packing the next day, and then either that evening or the day after that, I would be on a plane again going somewhere else. And we were launching Brand Builders Club all over the world and went out to Johannesburg to launch there, and then said, well, hey, it'd be really rude not to launch in Cape Town while we're here. Why don't we stay an extra couple of weeks and we'll do that as well? And so we hung out in South Africa for a bit longer, and we were there nearly a month in total. And we came over to Atlanta to launch Brand Builders in Atlanta. We had 3 of our kids with us, as well as my husband and 3 of the kids with us. And we just said, hey, it would be rude not to stay and actually enjoy America while we're here. Why don't we stay and enjoy it? And so we just changed our flights. We stayed out in America for a month, and we toured and stayed with Brand Builders and had fun and did business as we went. When we were in Brisbane, well, we went to Bali to run a retreat in Bali and said,
Yes, I remember that.
Brisbane and Australia is only 5-hour flight away. It'd be really rude to be over this side of the world and not go visit it. So we took a week out extra and went to Australia. And so, I have really built my life around being able to cross any border that is available to me, and to be able to just see borders as complete fluid.
Right.
OneDrop. It's like
Right.
individually we're OneDrop, together we're the ocean. Let's make it happen. And I just see the world as this amazing playground and a sandbox that we can all play in. And the real movement and the mission behind OneDrop is to bring 1 million OneDropreneurs together for the purpose of co-creation and collaboration instead of competition. And
Yeah.
we're well underway with that movement now. And it just makes sense to me that if we can, then we must.
Right. I agree with you so much. It's really been an amazing journey that you've been on. And I think that, as we were talking about before we started, uh, for better or worse, COVID has actually not really impacted your business, certainly not negatively. As a matter of fact, it's let you be more grounded because you can't travel all over, but you're
Mhm.
still connecting with your people, and you're constantly connecting. And I mean, I'm part of your group and I'm part of your tribe, and I love watching people grow and thrive. And tell us a little bit about OneDrop, and where did OneDrop come from? I know you just kind of mentioned the purpose and the mission, but what prompted you to develop this, and why?
Oh my goodness, this goes way back. We're going back to 2002 when I started my very first business. I'm building my 10th business now. So this was my very first business when I didn't have a clue what I was doing. And back then in the UK, we used to have this, what would you call it? I don't know. It was like an organization called Business Link. So when you started in business, you would go to Business Link events, and it was like a government funded thing, and you could learn about tax and accounting and legal stuff, the kind of stuff that you're teaching everyone as well. But back then I didn't have I didn't know you. And so I went to Business Link, and I literally was starting out and I didn't know what I was doing. And I remember going very early on, somebody said to me, just make sure you always look after the money, right? Just don't get carried away with building the business. Make sure you're looking after the money at the same time. So go and learn about how you need to manage your money as you're growing. And so I went and booked myself onto this Business Link course, and it was about accounting and tax and things like that, which is like the
All the fun
opposite of
stuff.
joy to me. But it was something that it was like I had to do it.
Yeah.
So I get there, and this guy, I can't even remember his name. I wish I could go back and thank him, because he had on the screen this quote, and it said, individually we're one drop, together we are the ocean. And I remember seeing this quote up on the screen, and I swear I didn't hear another thing that poor guy said for the rest of this seminar. And the seminar was about 2 hours.
Wow.
And I was just sat there making notes and notes, because I was thinking, well, what is a one drop, and how is anybody a one drop? Are we all a one drop? Is it just certain people that are one drops? If you could become a one drop, how would you do it? Well, how would a one drop act? What would a one drop be? What would they do? How would they treat other people in the world? What would be the one drop philosophy? If it goes beyond this, what would it be? And I just went, I mean, this was really before the times of having Google and everything on your phone, right? So I was just sitting there with just me and my imagination. And I made pages and pages. The guy must have thought that he was on fire, because like I was making all these notes and I didn't hear a word that he said. But I came away from it just thinking, okay, well, actually, I'm going to stand for one drop. So this goes back to 2002. I thought it was just something that everyone did because it was a quote on the screen. So I thought everybody knew about this stuff. And from that day, I committed to being the best one drop that I could be for everybody else around me. So I would make sure that every time I one dropped in someone's direction, it would create a ripple of positive impact. And I just set out on that mission to do that. And then get to 2017, I think it was, or 2018. And I was on a couple of documentaries that year. And at the end of filming one of the documentaries, we were in San Diego filming for that. And my friend Lynn Rose said, hey, I'll give you a lift to the airport, because we were filming in San Diego, but I was flying back out of LA to get back to London. And so she said, hey, the traffic's going to be terrible right now. I'll take you to Seaport Village. You'll absolutely love it. There's loads of little stores and stuff there. And there's a crystal store. I know you're going to love it. So we go to this crystal store. And I'm looking around and there's nothing really catching my eye. But as I turn around to leave the store, I see this one drop hanging there, right? And I nudge Lynn and I went, oh my God, Lynn, it's one drop. And she looks at this pendant and she said, what's one drop? I said, what do you mean, what's one drop? You know what one drop is? She said, no, I don't know what is one drop. And I said, individually, we're one drop, together we're the ocean. Oh my God, here's what you do. You get up every single day. You say a little like mantra to yourself about being the change for somebody, being that ripple of impact for somebody. And then you act in that way for the rest of the day. She was like, oh my God, Sammy, I've never heard of this before, but you need to do something with that. And you have to buy that pendant. So I bought the pendant and I started wearing it. And I started talking about one drop and what it means to be a one drop, and how, as brand builders, you've got to know what ripple you're making before you can brand it. And so I started talking about it from that perspective. And it just became a thing. But the thing was, the pendant that I bought, I wasn't totally happy with it. It was like, it was the thing that started the summing up of it. but it wasn't perfect. It was too sharp, and I wanted something that as soon as it hit the light, it was over your heart and communication area, and it would glow. It needed to glow. And anyway, I looked for a long time to find somebody that could make them. And eventually my friend Leisha Berry, I was speaking, this was about a year and a half later. I was speaking at an event in Palm Beach, and I was going to stay with Leisha for a few days afterwards. And we're sat there having lunch, and I'm telling her, I've got this massive vision. I've been all over the world. I can't find these things anywhere. I've had 18 different gem experts try and find me these OneDrops, and no one can do it, even though they all say they can. No one's done it. What am I going to do about this? Because I've got this vision to bring 1 million OneDroppreneurs together. If I can't even get another one of these damn things, how am I going to make 1 million of them? And she said, Sammy, I've been to your house in France. Doesn't your mum have a glass fusing workshop? Can't your mum make these for you?
Oh, that's funny.
And I was like, oh my God, that would be amazing if she could. So I immediately FaceTime my mum while I'm there at lunch with Leisha. My mum comes on and she says, well, send me pictures and I'll give it a go. 11 months she was making OneDrops every single day. We spent a fortune in glass fusing. We tried different strategies. They were going to be all different colors for people's brands. And then someone said to me, but if it's OneDrop, it needs to be OneDrop. And I'm like, oh God, of course it does. So then it became OneDrop. And then they had too many bubbles on, or they weren't the right shape, or they weren't the right size. And so bless my mum, every single day for 11 months.
Oh my gosh.
She was making them until she sent me a batch, because I lived in Manchester at the time and she lives in France. So she was sending these things over to me, and they're quite heavy, so it costs a lot in postage. And she got it right. And I went, Mum, we're ready to go. We are ready to go. It lit up as soon as the light touched it. I was like, right, we're ready to go. So then she started making them, and her back was killing her because she's bending over, grinding these OneDrops in glass by hand herself.
Oh my goodness.
And I said, we've got to find a way, because I can't, in your lifetime, you're never going to make 1 million of these. We've got to have 1 million. So she then set to work on trying to find somewhere that would be able to laser cut the glass so that we'd have the rough shape, so that she could then work with the shape, and then she wouldn't have to grind them all out. They would just, when you put them in the kiln, they would then kind of bleed out into the shape that we wanted. And we found somewhere. And so we had our first 1,000 OneDrops laser cut and sent over to my mum, where she then finished them off. They get fired twice. There's a process that goes through as well to create the dichroic glisten. So as soon as it hits the light, it then booms straight off your chest. And then we launched them at a summit that I was running in December, so just a month later. And loads of people were buying them. And men were saying, well, what about us? Like,
Right.
we don't want to wear a pendant. And so we then started making key rings. So for those of you that are actually watching, we've got the key rings
beautiful.
that we send out, and we've got the pendants like the one that I'm wearing now. And we were selling them with chains, but then people had such a unique way of expressing themselves that we said, it's no point selling the chains. Let's just sell the OneDrops, and people can then buy whatever chain, whatever length is right for them. So we started doing that, and it's just grown. And we run an event once a month called Ripple Fest. It's the Ripple Fest Quest at the end of every month for change makers and entrepreneurs who want to create something that is borderless, something that is a movement, something way bigger than just building a business. They want something that's going to create a ripple of impact. So at the end of every month, we train people how to do that. And we go through how to own your identity on day 1, how to own your value on day 2, how to own your gift and your purpose on day 3, how to own the impact that you're here to make on day 4, and then how to own your lane and brand it on day 5. So yeah, we run that the last week of every month. It's at ripplefestquest.com. And a lot of people buy the OneDrops and use them as gratitude stones. So they use them. We do meditations every morning. OneDrop has turned into a thing. Like, we've got caps, we've got journals and all kinds of stuff now to be the OneDrop you wish to see in the world. So launch your ripple and make your wave. We do all kinds of things have come out of OneDrop, but the biggest thing that's come out is the charitable initiative that's behind it. So when we run Ripple Fest every month, we charge just £8, which is around $11 US, and 100% of that goes to charity. So the 5 speakers,
so hold on, $11 for your Ripple Fest.
Yep.
Tell us a little more. So Ripple
Yeah.
Fest. So is it like an event that you're doing? I've seen the emails, but let's share it with the audience. It's an event that you do once a month. How
Yeah.
long is it?
It's for 5 days.
Five,
So we go
five
live
days.
in the
Okay.
morning and evening. So everything is recorded. So for those that, a lot of people in the States and Canada, they tend to join us later. So they'll
Sure.
watch the replays and then they join in the live with the movement maker every day. And that's where we interview a movement maker who has achieved massive global impact.
Impact.
Like Natalie Edwell, who's built an impact of like 6 million movement makers within her movement. We've got like Paul Dunn, for example. His company alone has achieved over 200 million impacts on lives now. So these are people who have really been there. They know the way, they know what you're going to come up against. And I ask them questions like, it's taken you 30 years to get where you are. If you were going to tell someone how to do that in 6 months, knowing what you know now, what would you do? Where would you start? And how would you do it? So rather than going the hard way, I hope to save a lot of people a lot of hassle. But instead of paying the speakers to speak, we ask them to nominate a charity instead. So each speaker nominates a charity. And at the end of the week, we collect everything together that's come in from everyone throughout the week. And we donate that to charity between the 5 charities.
So the OneDrop movement is not a nonprofit itself.
No, it's a CIC, which is a community interest company.
Got it.
So we are, it's not a charity, but a lot of the things we do are raising money for charity. So we partner with other small businesses. For example, I don't make these OneDrops. My mum makes them. She has a small business. So she makes them. We give her 50%. 30% goes to charity and 20% goes back into the company to be able to continue growing it and paying for more materials and glass
Right.
and things. The journals, we've partnered with one of our Brand Builders Club members who makes journals. 50% goes to her, 30% goes to charity, 20% goes back in the pot to grow OneDrop.
So I'm just
We've
going to
just
interrupt you
partnered
for
with,
one quick moment, just
oh yeah,
to draw an analogy for North
yeah,
Americans. So this CIC that Sammy's talking about would be the equivalent of a benefit entity here in the U.S.,
that's right.
which is basically a social impact company. It's got a potentially charitable purpose, but it's not a designated 501c3. So it's
Yes.
but the beauty of it is that this way you get to allocate the funds to multiple charities. So
Yeah, and you're not tied to just one charity,
right.
and you can decide where the money's going to go. And the other thing that was important to me was I really wanted to partner with people. That was massive for me. If we were a charity, we wouldn't be able to do that. Like we wouldn't
Right.
be able to pay commissions to people
Right.
like Nikki when she makes these, and my mum when she makes the OneDrops. And we do a lot of meditation with OneDrop. I've created about 30 different meditations now. I've created a 365 days of impact program that goes with OneDrop, so that every day you're just taking 5 minutes to work on the impact that has been made on your life so you can share it. A lot of people get stuck with content. What do I share with people so I can build my tribe? So it gives content triggers, but it also heals you on your journey as well. And a lot of people like to meditate and have essential oil burning through that. And so we're just partnered with an essential oil company who are creating a OneDrop oil. Again, 50% goes to them, 30% goes to charity, 20% goes back in the pot to grow it. So it just enables us to really support small business owners who are really
Across the
struggling right
globe.
now. So
We're just
where's
going
that?
to reiterate that this is really a global movement. How many
Oh,
countries are you
totally.
touching now, Sammy?
How many
Countries?
countries? I haven't even stopped to think about
Around
that.
50?
At least, I mean, through Ripplefest alone, we find that there's not many people that are actually in the UK that join in. I mean, the last one we had Slovenia, Poland, we had a lot of different people from different countries all over Europe, but also different parts of South Africa. We had Malaysia, Australia, Indonesia, all over the States, Canada.
Right.
So
And
all over.
this event, you run it through Facebook Live, right?
We do, yeah. We
Okay,
run it
and
in a
it's
Facebook group.
$11, eight pounds to
It's
join
$11.
5 days
Yeah.
of training. And
Yeah.
wow. Okay, so
We
we
wanted
need
to make it a no-brainer so
right,
that people would come back every month as well.
right,
And we've got people who joined Ripplefest 1 who then said, when's the next one? And
yeah.
we did Ripplefest 2, and then they've all of them have gone on to 3. And so we're literally just about to run Ripplefest 6, and we run it the last week of every month. So
Well, please send me an affiliate link, because I've been doing very well at bringing my people onto different events, and I think this is a great one, and I think everybody should participate. And what is the cost of the OneDrop?
the pendant is £37, which I think is about $50.
$45-ish.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
Okay.
Yeah,
Cool.
because it's plus postage. So
Right.
yeah, it works out to about $50 with the
Okay.
postage.
Cool. Cool. Well, and are you shipping them like somewhere here and then reshipping them from a central location? No, everything's coming
No, not
directly.
yet. Everyone is sent lovingly by hand by my good self. And the other thing that actually it was really funny. A couple of months ago, well, just coming up to the beginning of December, and somebody bought a OneDrop for Jack Canfield. They bought a key ring for Jack and a pendant for his wife Inga.
Jack
And
Canfield is
he said,
author, just for those of you who don't know, of Chicken Soup for the Soul and that whole
yeah,
series. So that's
yeah,
he's a pretty famous guy and a huge
he
influence.
is. He is. And I was sitting here stressing because I was like, oh my God, like we've got the beautiful packaging and everything for OneDrop, and we have a little seed in each one as well that
Oh
goes
yes,
in.
yes. See, yeah,
Because faith
beautiful.
as small as a mustard seed can move mountains, and even if you don't
As
believe in
small as a
yourself,
mustard
you can
seed
be a
can move
OneDrop.
mountains. Just
And
to
so I was sitting here
reiterate.
thinking, what the hell am I going to do? I can't just send it with a post-it note or something. I mean, that's going to look pretty rubbish. So I sat here thinking about what I could do that would at least make an impact. And as I was sitting here thinking about it, my daughter Jen painted me a OneDrop with the world in it for Christmas the year before. And I looked at it and I thought, I wonder if I could put that on a card. So I designed a card, especially to send to Jack Canfield, and it has Jen's painting on it.
Oh,
And
beautiful,
as you can see, it's got the quote across the top there, and
beautiful.
signed by Jen. You can just about
Yeah,
see it. And I've left it completely blank because I like to write a personal note, and it's got how you can see her artwork and stuff on the
love
back
it.
there as well. So I reached out to Jen and I said, Jen, I've had a thought. What if we were to sell these cards to people who want to send gratitude cards instead of birthday or Christmas cards? What if we sold gratitude cards, and I gave you 50% and 30% goes to charity and 20% goes back into the pot? Would you be willing to participate in that? And she said, I'd love to. So now we've got the cards as well. So that came because, and they come with a beautiful blue envelope as well,
It's
which is nice.
beautiful. I
People are
wish that
sending
everybody
those.
that was listening to the podcast could see this, because it's a beautiful card, and it
Thank
shows
you.
Sammy's, and obviously her daughter has her special creative knack in a different way in design, and it's just beautiful, and the whole concept that you have of impacting these 1 million OneDroppreneurs, which I hadn't heard that term before. Obviously, you created it. It's all about, like, it's where we met, Women's Prosperity Network. It's
Yeah.
all of what I do in my world. It's actually my number one takeaway from this whole pandemic, is that without partners, without strategic partners, without collaboration, without creating those joint ventures, you cannot survive in this marketplace. And if you are a competitive, we're all driven. We all want to make an impact, and we all have a different way of doing it. But if you're not going to help each other, and you're going to be like, oh no, I'm sorry, I can't do that because I'm not getting paid for it or whatever, or
Mhm.
there's nothing, what's in it for me? If you have that mentality always in your mind, what's in it for me? That's the mentality that's going to come across, and your energy is going to repel, as opposed to, how can I make an impact in the world, and how can I bring people together to connect, to collaborate, to bring ideas out, because we are going to do so much more together than we do apart. So the reality is that bringing somebody like yourself onto the show, it's a little different, because we're not really investing across borders, but we are. We're investing ourselves. We're investing our ideas. We're bringing them to the world. I see your little dog in the background there. We are making a difference. And, I might be more tangible, because I'm about, let's invest in real estate. Let's buy a business. Let's invest in a business and expand your business across borders. Sammy is about how can we make an impact. It's all about impact at the end of the
It's
day.
investing in others, I think.
Yes.
So, you know, because I think if you're sowing into other people, if you can be that ripple of impact for, and this is how we run Ripple Fest, is to say, look, if I become that ripple of impact for Lauren, tell me exactly, what do you need help with? How can I support you with that? How can I be your ambassador and your champion? And you say, thank you, Sammy, I'm going to be the ambassador and champion and OneDrop for Linda. And Linda says, I'm going to be an ambassador and a OneDrop for Tony. And Tony says, I'm going to be an ambassador and OneDrop for Sammy. It all comes around.
You
But
lift
if
your
you
hand, you
focus
put your
on,
hand out to help
yeah,
somebody up. And that's
totally
right. Where did we hear that before? You have to lift somebody up, and then you're in turn, you're going to be elevated. It's not, that can't be the MO, but it does happen, and it's global, and it's become so much more clear because, as we were also saying, we're used to doing Zoom. We've been doing Zoom for years, okay? Zoom or some form thereof. Not everybody was used to doing Zoom. People like Sammy was in the live event business. Lots of people in the live event business were like, what am I going to do? But yet some of my major influencer clients have done extraordinarily well because you can impact more. For me, it's been really good because I don't, I'm a single mom, and sometimes there's challenges of travel. I mean, I'd like to travel somewhere, but this way, through this pandemic, it like I speak on global stages every day in a different country, and I'm right here in my home. I'd like to be somewhere else.
But that's the beauty of it, though, isn't it? Is that you can make your ripple of impact from wherever you are. Yeah. And if you choose to travel, then you're choosing to travel. But my life was so full of travel before, and now literally it's full of impact. I can make so much more impact. Like I used to lose so much time in airports and going through airport security and waiting for the next train to come along and things, and I couldn't concentrate in that time because I was committed to getting where I needed to be on time. But now,
and you'd always be doing the work on the plane. You'd be like, oh, I'll get to it on the plane. I'll get to it on the plane. And then if the Wi-Fi didn't work on the plane, you're done.
I'd be in complete distraction.
Right, exactly.
So 9 hours later, I'd have been like, wow, because I don't get a chance to watch movies and telly and things very often. So I'd be on the plane and like, oh, I've got a chance to catch up on 3 movies.
Right.
Yeah. So I didn't work. And I think it's important to not work as well. And that's something that is a big thing for me this year is how can I create peace and pace? And actually, I mean, before lockdown, we were running up to 34 different events every month in Bali, Johannesburg, Atlanta, New York, all over Europe. And I've got ambassador teams that were doing that for me. And now I was able to, through lockdown, say, well, I'm going to go live just once a week, and you can all join me on that one call, and you can all work out how to collaborate and partner with each other without now having to travel somewhere to make that happen. And so now I'm only online for that call 1 hour a week. Well, I used to be away for the whole week, traveling to different masterminds and delivering the masterminds and training my ambassador team up how to deliver them. Now I just run them myself for 1 hour once a week. Mm-hmm. So I've been able to create a lot more peace and pace, but this year is definitely the year I take that step back a bit and start bringing in team, which create peace. And they can create the pace for me. And that's something that I'm working on now. I've already brought 2 people into the company in the last couple of months that have really taken ownership of Ripple Fest and all the systemizing and automating of things with that. So all I've got to do is write my bit and then it's done. And they take it over from there. We brought a social media company in now literally last week. So they're taking over the promotion of it because we've tested it enough now. We've tested it over the last 2 months. We're on Ripple Fest 6 now at the end of this month. And so we're ready to scale. And I think that's the key thing is I always test and measure till we've got it how I'm happy with it, which isn't necessarily perfect because perfection is poverty. But I'm now happy with it to say, listen, we're having fun. We're raising money. We're raising brands. We're raising energy, and we're raising a whole bunch of movements in 1 week. And if we can prove that instead of worrying about losing control outside of ourselves. What if we can just take control of who we are, how we show up, how we support each other, and how we connect to something that's way bigger than ourselves? Because when we do that, our words make waves, and the ripple of impact we create is way bigger than anything we could ever possibly conceive of creating on our own. And why try and do it on your own when there's a whole ocean literally of opportunity out there? And I think the bigger you grow, the more partnerships and collaborations become important.
Absolutely.
It becomes more important, not just at the beginning, oh, I've got some
Right.
time to help that person. No, it becomes more important.
Absolutely.
The bigger you grow, the lonelier it becomes. So it's even more important to stay connected and keep growing those oceans together.
Yeah, connection is a key. Relationship capital has, you just realize that that's probably the number one most important element of
trust
running
currency.
a business today, is that relationship capital. And I think that the other thing that's going to come from this, well, I know because I've seen it. I know I have a colleague, Bill Walsh, and he's running events that are hybrids. He does, of course, you know him, and he does live, but he also does online. And we were supposed to be in Cabo in 2 weeks for my friend Jay Facette running JVology Summit. And I was supposed to be there, and they had to cancel it because the Canadian borders are completely closed. And so he's going online. So this way, actually, he can have a few more people. There are only going to be 20 people live. So I think that the joy of this, Sammy, is that even when we go back to those live events, and I do miss hugging. You know, you're a big hugger. I'm a
big hugger.
It's the big thing. But I think that the beauty is that we'll have pivoted enough that we can impact that many more. So even though you might have 100 in the room, you could have 1,000 watching you. And that's the beautiful part of this. And so I thank you for impacting. I thank you for your friendship. I thank you for joining me today. I will be at the next Ripple Fest. I'm going to definitely.
Jay's speaking, actually. Jay Facette. He's going to be, Jay, I think, is in April or May.
Okay.
Jay will be joining us on the Ripple
Jay
Fest.
is my client that I got him a wonderful visa for crossing borders, and eventually he'll be able to cross them again. He got the visa. He's like, okay, these borders have to open. But yeah, so I adore him. And Iman, a guy, I just interviewed him the other day. If you don't have him speaking, you definitely need to. He's wonderful. So, Iman, a guy. He is in Vancouver, Canada. I will make an intro. You definitely need to know him. He's a huge influencer, one of the top Canadian influencers for sure. And I'm working very closely with him as well. So it's an exciting time. Sammy, I know you have another interview. I want to honor your time. Do you have any parting words? And please do let people know how to reach you.
Oh, thank you. Well, Lauren, this has been amazing. And, you know, guys and girls, just really own your lane, own your impact, own your value, own your identity, and really own your gift and honor your values, because my highest core values are freedom, creativity, and fun. And if it ain't any of those things, then I don't do it. I know when Laurel invites me into something, I know it's going to be fun. I know that I can be free because I can do it from wherever I am. And I know it's going to cross borders and make a massive difference. So launch your ripple and make your wave, guys and girls. Be that one drop you want to see in the world, and come and join us. ripplefestquest.com. That's ripplefestquest.com. Come join the fest.
We'll put it all in the show notes, ripplefestquest.com. It's a pleasure, Sammy. Have a great day. Good luck on your next interview, and I will tag you. My social, well, you'll hear all about that stuff. Signing off from Investing Across Borders. Today is actually Monday, February 8th, 2021. As my other colleague says, get it done in 21, and we are all here to make an impact on the world. Thank you for joining us today. Have a great day. Take care.